Hey class, this video is a brief introduction to chapter 8 in the textbook, which is about digital media, about new media. It's a new and exciting area of art, but it actually traces all the way back to photography. So there's a lot of new stuff kind of towards the end of the chapter, but at the beginning it starts off with a series of photographs by a photographer named Edward Muybridge, and it's a horse galloping. Muybridge had the idea to set up a series of cameras, and as a horse was galloping by, the cameras took still images, and then he would stitch those images together to create basically a series of images on movement or locomotion. And this is really at the beginnings, at the roots, not only of photography but also of motion pictures. When you flip the page in chapter 8, you'll see a really funny, kind of interesting painting of a dog on a leash. And if you look closely at the dog's legs, you see that they're just moving with a lot of motion, a lot of speed. So the painter, the artist, was able to capture that motion in a still image. So artists have been fascinated with motion and movement for hundreds of years. With the onset of new and digital media, it's been so much easier to infuse the idea of motion, of movement into art. There are a lot of interesting artists, I think, in the chapter, but several that I want you to focus on, that I want to highlight. The first is an artist named Bill Viola. Bill Viola is the premier video artist of today. The work in the textbook is an interesting work called The Crossing. And I want you to read about that work and research a few videos on that so that you can actually see the piece. I'll have a few posted on Blackboard. There's another interesting work by Viola that I also want you to study called Ocean Without a Shore, and look for another video posted on that in Blackboard. Another video artist, current artist still living and working today, is an artist named Paul Pfeiffer. He's an interesting artist, and there's a video for you to study on him as well. He focuses on major events, particularly sporting events. He's interested in the idea of spectacle. He takes videos of those events and then he manipulates them with Photoshop, essentially. He'll erase out details. So he's altering the video to change the viewer's perspective on the event, often shifting where the viewer will look. Whereas normally a viewer might look in one area, with Pfeiffer's intervention, the viewer is forced to look at something else. Another artist at the very end of the chapter that I find really fascinating is an artist named Julius Popp. And he created an artwork that is scrolling words, but it's done with water. Now I have a video of this posted on Blackboard that I want you to watch, where he explains how this works. And when you look at the picture of the book, you just sort of get one image of it, and it's really sort of unclear as to what's going on. But once you watch the video, you'll see in full detail how this apparatus is set up, how these words actually scroll and fall. And it's actually a waterfall. So the words, the images are made with water, and then they dissipate, they sort of disappear almost instantly. They're just there for a fraction of a second, and then they're gone. He connects this device, this work of art, to basically the internet. And so these words are generated based on what's going on in the world today. So they seemingly are random, but it's all determined by our culture. So the words are constantly changing. Definitely make sure that you watch that video, because I think you'll find it interesting. So chapter 8 is really an extension of chapter 7. This new digital media is an outgrowth, an outpouring of the invention of photography. Without photography, we certainly wouldn't have video art. So those two chapters, although they're separate, are very much related.